right, welcome to Raising Funds for World Domination, Day 50. So here's the general intro. There's no substantial updates on that today. A bit late getting started today. Let's see, so last night I left off with I was trying to fix a bug where some of the text wasn't showing up in the help menu, and I didn't get that figured out on stream. And actually, when I got up this morning, I had an idea for how to fix it. I thought it was just one simple thing, and it ended up being much more complicated than that. And I spent actually a bunch of time today trying to figure it out. So that's what I worked on today. Let me push the cable in the monitor. The other monitor keeps shutting off. Okay, open custom frame, open help menu, and now the menu is back to working. So there's a bunch of race conditions to fix with, or to address with the. Oh wow, we already got a super chat. Mr. Egler, I beg of you, please review one Calzone. For me and Calzone gang. What is with people in calzones? It's interesting. I made it my whole life, and I've never heard of a calzone until the last month or so. People have been talking about that. I mean, I guess I'm obligated by law now. Thank you very much. I don't know, but it's locked in now. I guess it is. Once I finish the game, I'll probably so in terms of things I want to implement, like while this is fresh in my memory, I want to implement the ability to select inventory items, and then also have that reflect. So when you place blocks, it'll place blocks as that. And then the next thing is I also want to add awareness for like the underneath layer. So I want to add the extra like third dimension as a shade. And I'm not 100% sure how long that'll take me, but once I implement those two features, then I'll probably do some other streams for a bit, and hopefully I'll have some more long form content out. So during that time, I'll probably do the Calzone. All right, so it's looking. The UI is looking pretty good now, in my opinion. There's no weird flashing when you move or scroll around. It's got nice justified text. Let's go. not actually agreed to a Calzone review. I know it's risky. It's back to being almost a playable game now. The performance is not too bad. I've also fixed a few crashes today. All right. Working on the game without us. I couldn't resist it. I woke up and I had that. I was like, oh, this one thing will just fix that the UI bug. But I think it actually ended up being. I think there's a bunch of bugs in it. But when so I have some code that. So every thread, every frame runs in an independent thread, and then. So when it renders itself, it sends. So everything centers around the console writer thread. And the console writer threads, whenever there's a resize event, it figures out what the dimensions are of our frames, sets the dimensions, sets an ID, like a version ID for the frame dimensions. And when it sends out the notify, it sends out the description of like what the version of those dimensions is. And then that gets sent back. When every thread writes to the screen, all that happens through the console writer thread. So all threads send those messages back. And but what you can have is when one thread is rendering itself, and it sends a render event to draw the screen, but the terminal is already resized. It can be trying to write to a location where the frame actually isn't there anymore, and then you get like really bad artifacts and stuff. And in that case, I have to basically reject it. So then I send back a response, say like, discard this, and also redraw yourself. So then it just tries to redraw itself with the new parameters when it eventually gets them, because it has to go through its message queue. But also it tries to it'll intelligently skip forward until the right version number. I forgot to describe the error. The error was in that case when it gets rejected and sent back. Then there was a case where it was not properly initializing some of the frames. So when it tried to calculate the difference, there was no difference, even though there actually was. And it thus did not propagate the right change to the UI, to the console writer thread. Like that thing when you're on the edge of sleep and your subconscious whispers the solution for something. Yep, and then you just have to stay up until 3 a.m. and fix it. All right, let's see. Actually, let's test for some bugs. I'll be glad when I have this like in a nice stable state, and I can stop working on this for a bit. Collective passes. Hello, Robert. How's it going? Aaron Hand says, hello, everyone. How's it going? Interesting. I must not have the empty frames need a message. I think they need to clear themselves. I forgot to add that. Wow, very enthusiastic. You got this, Robert. Excellent. Thank you for the encouragement. What is it about calzones anyway? That's a good question. At the start of the stream, Robert alluded to publishing a calzone review. I guess I have to. You have to go where the business is, and it seems like that's where, software development is not much in demand these days. But calzone reviews, I guess that's what our economy is shifting towards. Should be a programming language that is only a combination of ingredients that can make a calzone. Maybe I don't understand the fascination with calzones. Yeah, I am the market. Powerful. I guess so. All right, here's the demo for multiple frames. Let's see if we can get a crash. There's still that one little area on the map. And these things, for some reason, there's one extra thing on the edge of the map. We have a pizza place downtown that made amazing calzones. Have you integrated calzone into your block mining game? I may have to in the future. My UEFI boot sequence has a calzone as the OS branding image. What is it with this calzone mania? There's no calzone emoji. You could send a request, I think, probably to the Unicode standard people. Nice, it didn't crash. Common terminology within computer engineering. Ada Lovelace famously used a calzone to debug. I am skeptical of that claim. There's a plane in the distance. Looks like it's shining a light right over here. Must be a flight path around this time. Okay. Next was I would kind of like to fix that stupid map area issue. Maybe I'll wait until later when I factor that. A lot of people don't know this, but the first Turing machine was envisioned while Alan Turing was eating a calzone. This is fake news. Oh, chat. What's that? Says Eli's so unknowy. In fact, I believe Einstein was eating a calzone when he sat under that tree. You're thinking about Isaac Newton. William Hamilton was crossing a bridge eating a calzone when he determined that quaternions could be described in 4 dimensions. The half-eaten calzone was preserved in the bridge ever since. These are all lies. I think y'all gonna make Robert go crazy with all the calzone comments. He will rage quit. Yep, I'm just close to blowing my lid. I'll end up on one of those live stream outtakes website, flip over the table, being angry about calzones, and then people start making fun of me even more about calzones. Imagine a farmer changes his content to food review. There's too much of that out there. My disappointment is immeasurable and my day is ruined. What if we push the vectors for software engineering, calzones, and facts about folding? The founding fathers closer together in everyone's models. Software engineering, calzones, and facts about founding fathers. I guess this probably will be. There probably will be like really sophisticated data poisoning attacks in the future. Man, that's gonna be crazy. The future is gonna be so crazy in so many ways. Like, I think AI is already so good. A lot of people depend on it, but I can just imagine like to change the truth about certain facts, like a very specific fact, could be immensely valuable. Like, imagine brainwashing an AI, like spending $1 billion to to brainwash every AI in like a really strategic way to claim like that, you know, a given country or something is like a part of another sovereign country. Like, you know, for a specific example, like that Canada is part of the U.S. and then just make up some like fake history about like Canada legally became part of the U.S. after signing this declaration on this specific day, and it's just a bunch of random facts. And then you'll be like, no, ChatGPT, you're wrong. And it's like, nope, actually you're wrong. And it'll just give all this fake information to you. The question is, how much money would it cost to, like, as an adversarial thing, to poison the open source data models with wrong facts? Probably not that much. Do you hear about the Calzone bandit? I have not. Trump passing EO to make Calzone U.S. national food. This is fake information. Google already renamed it Gulf of Mexico, Gulf of America on our maps. I think for that one, there's some actual, like there's some based on, you know, the sovereign authority of the president or whatever. I guess that one's a bit more believable, but like it changing borders and stuff like that by just creating a bunch of fake data and overwhelming AI models and public consciousness. Real truth is that calzones are integral to software development. If you're not utilizing it, you're behind in the game. That might be true. Calzone Domination Fund. Thank you very much. Poison data for models is totally possible. I'm sure it's already a thing. SIGAM. Not sure what that refers to. Actually, I was kind of thinking for the next while. I know there's a few regular people who are always here in the chat, and that it's becoming like there's a small group of people who do most of the super chats. And I'm actually thinking, like, for long-term sustainability, that's not really for the same people to be always super chatting, that's not sustainable in the long term. I was thinking about doing an experiment, and for like the next week or so. So if you're a frequent super chatter, don't do any super chats for like a week, because I have a theory that the YouTube algorithm decides how much you're going to get in super chats, and then it just, like, if nobody super chats, then it finds people. It finds like new people who will do super chats, and I'm kind of curious if that because it always seems like there's a reversion to the mean. Like if I don't get any super chats for a couple days, it seems to like the algorithm just does its thing, and then the views go up, or the current viewers go up, or the ad revenue will go up or something. Admonished. I'm not sure what that word means. I recognize the word, but I forget what the definition is. Is it like a legal term? He's joking that we're being dressed down, or made to stand for criticism for super chatting. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not really sure how else to put it. The live streaming thing is it's just an experiment to see, like, just to gather data, because I've never done as much of this as I have now, and I feel kind of bad for it's not sustainable. Like once it gets over a couple $100 or something for one person, I don't really think I'm delivering that much value. I think you'd be better off put it in the stock market and then make $1 billion, and then you can super chat me a bunch. Or if you want, you can totally rebel. I'll forgive you. We just want you to win. Thank you. I appreciate the support. I hope that in the meantime I can deliver a decent amount of value and entertainment and block mining simulation games. Now I need to figure out how to keep track of this, like, inventory item index without just overcomplicating it like crazy. $1 billion about a lot of calzones. One time I used underscores in some large number in programming language that allowed, and got a review comment for it. PRs. I remember doing those. Pull request, that's what it stands for. I almost forgot. When I was at Amazon, I even had I would always try to make my code super nice to hopefully pass the first pull review. And one time I ended up working on code that another of my coworkers actually wrote. He actually wasn't familiar with Git, and then he started working this code and then abandoned it, and then because he had to work on a different project, and so I was responsible for merging in his code. and it was actually code that he wrote. And there was like some mixture of like tabs and spaces in it, and he was like, go back and fix all this. But it was code that he wrote. Okay, that might do what I want. Getting PRs from AI tools, and we have a rule about rebasing down to a single commit. So now the git blame are becoming lies. Branches made by others. From AI tools, I don't have access to. So the commit looks like it was written by the vibe coder. Meanwhile, walked through testing and deployment. So is that an open source project? If you're getting PRs, does your company do AI pull requests? I'm curious. if it's like an open source thing or a company thing. You think toothpaste calzones would benefit homeless? I think it's kind of nonsense. The company uses GitHub, some new tools. Have a GitHub MCP, model context protocol. Liu Hiroyama sends, that's 160 cent Japanese yen. Thank you very much. $160 Japanese yen is, I think, around. You can buy a condo now. Excellent. Hopefully condos are cheaper in Japan than they are here. I saw a thing that said I think Canada's housing, like the Toronto area, is one of the worst housing affordability in the world now. We're like one of the record takers. Although I guess Japan was the worst, had some of the worst affordability in I think it was in the early late 90s, and then they had their like unprecedented economic collapse of their real estate market, and then that basically gave them like decades of extremely low growth, and now they have all kinds of financial issues. I've been getting recommended a bunch of YouTube videos about some of Japan's economic problems. Apparently there's a lot of controversy going over there. Everyone's angry about, like, you know, over 2 decades of economic stagnation there, and apparently it's starting to get like worse. They're getting like inflation for the first time in years. Who knew the economists assuming unlimited growth would become a gotcha? Or like 150? Yeah, I forget what the exchange is, but it's like, I think 100 or so is around $1 US or Canadian dollar. Yeah, it's annoying how all these annoying like macroeconomists are constantly like totally screwing up the economy. It'd be nice if they would just stop doing that for a while, and then just let like normal. Like I would be a much more productive employee or business, entrepreneur, if I actually existed in like a stable environment that wasn't full of like scams and fraud and waste, and like I'm wasting so much of my life on this rent eviction situation, and that doesn't produce any intrinsic value for anyone. And I'm in this situation, and so many other people are in this situation. really want Medicare for all in America. For that reason, I made a run at a website that started doing numbers before Google deranked me for having AI summarized reviews. You're making a game? Yes. It's a terminal-based video game where you simulate the process of mining blocks of iron ore in an infinite procedurally generated universe. So here's basically what the game looks like. This is it's kind of I'm just testing the UI here. I guess I could probably change that. I found a dentist who doesn't suck. They dropped my dental insurance because filling paperwork became annoying. Yeah, I don't even have dental insurance. Insurance in general is kind of a big scam. All right, I'm pressing keys and it hasn't crashed, so that's good. I may have to get back into the Bud game to cover it. I'm not 100% sure what you mean by that, but if you mean what I think I mean, those are the kinds of statements that I've gone back and forth. Should I ban autistic stoner or not? But you're kind of on the edge. Now I just need to show Show the current inventory items selected. Pretty cool. How does it render? I always wondered how terminals draw anything besides line after line commands. They handle more than text. So the key is so everything you see in a terminal, you can think of it as a dumb stream of bytes input and output. But in addition to that, there's also something called ANSI escape sequences. So I can show you some of those in this class. Yeah, so you can just print normal text, and then there's also position sequences. So if you output, so this is actually octal. So another way to do that is /E. So when or I guess what is that in hex 0x1b in hex, and then an opening square bracket, and then a number, semicolon, another number. This way you can specify, you can move the cursor to a specific position. So well, actually I can just demo that. So if I do I can do that, but then I can also do echo-E /E 033 10 10 H, and then yeah, so I just clear and then run that again. I'm printing this up here, and then this is an ANSI escape sequence. And then that will, as soon as I print that, it moves directly to this position. I think he's using full note Unicode in the terminal control characters for highlighting stuff. Yep, and there's also like you can change what is it? Is it oh, it's M. So if I do maybe what would it be, like 3344 maybe? Oops. Yeah, so this is another escape sequence. So if it a couple numbers, I think you can actually do like more. So you can do like underline and cross out. I don't remember all of them, but yeah. So if I do that, that'll change the foreground and background color. And there's a few other ones, and they all vary between terminals. Thank you very much to Lucian Putnam for the $9.99. Has to be UTF or something for emoji. Yeah, the emoji characters are just standard emoji characters. What if I ran a legal one? I'm actually curious with that part now. If you have a legal business, then entrepreneurship is one of the things I'm interested in. I don't know. I'm not particularly interested in the details of. I guess I have to keep the the theme of things relatively wholesome. The main problem is it's not so much I have like an ideological opposition. It's more so that the opposite. Like there's the demand on the internet for degeneracy is extremely high. So for example, like there's 20 people watching now. If I ask people to share like a story when you got like really drunk or something, there'll probably be at least a few people who will have a story about that, and then suddenly everyone in the chat wants to talk about that, and then someone will come in and ask about like programming or languages or whatever, or like entrepreneurship, and they're like, this is not really the chat that I want to. This is a very degenerate corner of the internet, so I have to push back against that and set some guardrails. License cost is basically massive capital requirement in the US. Over that kind of business, I guess. Just say no. Just have some tea, read some wholesome books, and write some code. Remember your DARE training? I remember when they came around to it's kind of amusing. I remember as a kid they came around to our school and like tried to scare us and like never ever do this stuff, it's bad. And then they're like, one of the kids was like, I heard that smoking this stuff, it'll crystallize your lungs. And the guy, there was a police officer who came, and he's like, I guess maybe, I don't know. And all the kids were super scared of it. And then now as an adult, once they legalized it, or I don't know if it's legalized or decriminalized, or I don't even know what the status of it here in Canada. I actually got like a pamphlet from the government about like, because the government opened a thing where they were selling like edibles and stuff like that. And then they managed to lose money doing it. But did you think about the show Silicon Valley? So I've never actually sat down and watched all the episodes, but I have seen the clips recommended to be on YouTube. And I would say, from my experience working in tech, working with entrepreneurs and also spending a bit of time in Silicon Valley and networking and stuff, I would say that the show Silicon Valley has the absolute most accurate description. It's the most accurate depiction of people that work in tech and the tech industry as a whole. Like, I've never seen a piece of a fictional work that accurately captures the personalities and behaviors of people in that industry as correctly, and like the stereotypes and yeah. What about Mr. Robot? Mr. Robot, is that a show or a movie? I have a signed photo of Thomas Middleditch as Richard. Oh, interesting. I vaguely recommend. I don't know the show well enough to identify who that is, but show. Oh, Mr. Robot. That's the guy. Yeah, I think I've seen some clips of that. He's the guy who talks in the kind of like monotone. Mr. Robot was stupid. Yeah, I think I saw there was a few like hacking clips of that, but I tried to actually like watch some longer clips, and there's no hacking in them, so I got bored. They're just like long scenes of people talking and narratives that are. Richard is a protagonist. I like Guilfoyle Amosto. Actually, my favorite character of that show was the networking guy. I think his name was John. The guy who's like, okay. Yeah, actually that guy, that John, that character, he has a YouTube channel. He has a cooking show. He's like a comedian. Let me think. Okay, the next thing is it's here. Huli server admin. Yeah. I like Richard. That's awesome. You got a signed photo. I've tried to find ways to tell someone on Discord I don't need branding for my Twitch as nicely as I could. Someone's trying to sell you stuff or services. I get messages all the time about like people want to make thumbnails and stuff. And do you have a public GitHub I can follow? Yes, actually, if you there should be a link in the description, actually on this video, to the GitHub repo for this project. I get to watch John the server guy cook. No, thank you. No problem. Stratamesh says, "What's up, Robert?" Not too much. Just working on item selection for the block mining simulation game. All right, that might actually give me a selection menu or a highlighted item. The logo and banner are photos I take of myself. So it feels kind of insulting. Yeah, a lot of the like spam or like I constantly get messages of like a lot of them are designed to be they try to make it look like they're specific. They're like, hey, I'm a fan. I've been watching your channel for a while. I think you're I really like that content you posted recently, but it's just like a generic email. And also with AI, it's getting even worse now, where it'll actually try to pull out some context and be like, hey, I had something to contribute to that conversation that you had in that video, but it's like some ChatGPT thing, and they're trying to make it seem specific. That's always been like a sleazy marketing tactic, but now it's on steroids. And I think that kind of marketing is going to work better for a while, but not for long, because pretty soon every marketer is going to do that. Do you have a GitHub account? Can I follow you on it? Sure. It should be in the link. There should be a link to this project in the description. Person, but I feel like it's a child. I don't do business with children. Yeah, it's some of it's also just like desperate people too. You get all sorts of like random spam. I probably get like 5 emails a day from a lot of them are like obviously like generic spam. Okay. You seem like you wanted to finish this project for a long time. What does the end vision look like? I have my current objectives are one is to finish the ability to actually select items in the inventory, and then also have that reflected so that you can actually place. Right. So right now you can actually only place rocks. I'm going to make it so you can place, you can select any of the items and place any of the items. I think that's a pretty critical thing for a block manipulation game. And the next objective is, so the world is actually 3D. So if I press spacebar, you go up, and you press X to go down. But there's no depth perception. You don't see any. You can actually drop down into caves, but you can't see the caves. So the next thing I want to finish is there's one right there. I want to make it so that you can actually see the cave. There's like an extra gradient. There's with the way I have it designed, it's there's a bit of work I have to do to implement that. So I'm going to finish those 2 objectives, and then I'm going to do another release of it, and then I'm going to try and stop working on this for a while and switch back to other longer form content. And then I'll kind of just put this out there. I'll probably maybe make another video updating it, because I've one of the things I've been spending a ton of time on is a complete overhaul and refactor of how it's rendered. So every single frame is running in an independent thread, and I've got all kinds of stuff like text justifying, and it works with like resizing. So making this work successfully, so you can do all that and it doesn't crash, and then you go to any frame dimensions that you want, and it'll resize and not be totally full of errors. So that was quite a bit of development work to implement that, and also to make it get the thread synchronization to work and stuff like that. But hopefully I can stop working on just like the rendering and then actually start working on. I actually think if I do come back to this, I don't know when it'll be. I would take a break from this and do some other stuff that actually makes more money for a bit. But if I do come back to it, I think probably the next thing I'm going to try to get out there is multiplayer. I think that would be a big milestone, is to get a little bit of functional multiplayer in it. I probably wouldn't even, like right now there's almost no gameplay content. You just mine these blocks and there's nothing you can do with them. But I guess now that I have all the Windows stuff, like implementing recipes and like an equipment thing, that would be quite easy now, because I'd be very generic. I would just copy and paste the inventory thing, and then I can implement something there pretty easily. Finances aren't my problem. Yeah, I mean, if you have any kind of public presence, like you will get mass amounts of spam of like, I don't know, I get random people saying like they want to make thumbnails for me or this or that, or I mean, if the person, if you talk to the person a bit, and then if you if you have like tons of money coming in your business and it makes sense for you to hire them, then you can consider them. But you will probably get like 1,000 emails like that. You will literally get like 1,000 emails for that for every person you hire as a business if you're doing stuff online. It's cool. I thought it was like a Terraria style one. I'm not familiar with Terraria, but I've heard of that game. But I always say if I need your services, I'll contact you. Yeah, I mean it's and I mean you even have to be careful, because like you'll get like there's the desirable sponsors that everyone wants, and even those there's a huge number of scams where people will pretend to be and like set up fake domains and stuff like that to pretend to be like I don't know, raid Shadow Legends or something, or what were some of those famous NordVPN or something like that. We're NordVPN. We're going to sponsor you. And then they'll like it's an actual individual, and they give you a very convincing spiel and go back and forth with you and stuff. And then they send you like a PDF, but it's actually not a PDF. It's like a zip file, and you unzip it, and now you've got like some, Trojan that like steals your YouTube credentials. So that apparently a lot of big YouTubers have been hit with that exact scam, where it's like it's not like those low quality phishing attacks. It's like a very, it's one person who wakes up and their entire point is to send like legit material. Like they might like steal some information from the actual NordVPN and then like set up a special purpose phishing domain just for that specific attack. So it's not re-rendering the frame. That's not cool. It is not re-rendering. I hope this is not another UI bug. I would always contact the company. Never have I ever. Click a link. Yeah, it's apparently it's something that it commonly gets a lot of YouTubers. Why doesn't it work? Oh, that's why. That's because I don't have this call. All right. Check it out. You can actually select items. Well, it's not. It doesn't propagate to the client model yet, but where'd it go? think I must need a new modulo in there. Why doesn't it work? Why doesn't it work? I forgot to finalize the frame, which actually commits it to be rendered. Oh, that's crazy. Oh, it must be because I think Java does modulo strange. I think it's going negative. So therefore, we can fix that with game dev chat. Who can forget? I think my text wrapping, my smart printing line printing instruction thing is swallowing the leading space. Does everyone still believe my servers aren't quiet? I have no strong opinion on this subject. All right, that's another slight piece of progress. My desk fan is louder than all of them powered on. I guess if you have a decent, like a small desktop server is not too loud. It depends on how hard it's running. I'm the only one with access. I'd say they're quite quiet for rack mounted. Someone said they may not have fans since it's all Pis, Raspberry Pis. Yeah, depending on which version of the Raspberry Pi it is. Some of them don't have. You can run them without fans. I think some of the newer ones, the like standard kit comes with like a tiny little fan, because they can run pretty hot. got Pies, but you don't use them. Ever do embedded dev? Yes, I have done a decent amount of embedded dev. I've done I guess enough to like know to be dangerous. I taught a course once for like an STM 404 board. Now, having said that, a lot of the I was lucky that there's another professor there who he did all the hard work of like figuring out the USB protocol, and so he had like a software kit, and I was able to borrow his like teaching materials. But once I had that, I also taught I wrote like a custom microkernel. I already had my own like custom bare bones microkernel laying around, so I was able to port that to run on this particular embedded board. And I've messed around with Arduino stuff a bit. It's something I'd like to get back to, but finding like good justification. Real-time operating system, yeah. Although it wasn't really sophisticated, it was like a bare bones microkernel. It was like less than 1,000 lines of code, just to implement like message passing, context switching, just kind of enough to demonstrate it for a course. The embedded world is pretty interesting. There's a lot of lots of interesting, clever hacks that you can do with embedded stuff. Like there's some interesting attacks you could do with like removing capacitors and glitching. The CPU works on the fetch, decode, execute, write back, but if you like drop the power at a specific time, then you can you can skip certain steps, so you can like basically avoid. You can glitch the CPU into bypassing checks. So like you can have an if statement and just make it like not check the if statement by glitching it precisely. So the next thing I'll have to do is modify this function. So instead of always placing a rock, it will place whatever the currently selected item is. This here is the code for the crafting. It's very sophisticated code. Just a bunch of nested if statements. One of the future things will be much more sophisticated crafting recipes and tables and stuff. Hey, what is the plan? The world domination plan or the video game plan? For the world domination plan, the plan is to raise $12 billion here on YouTube, and then we'll build a deep water port up in the high Arctic, and then we'll start a new society up there. Brand new society with no problems. All those problems you see on the news, we won't have those. And yeah, we could be there, write lots of software, and everything will be great. And we can raise venture capital, get some private equity firms to invest, and then we'll do leveraged buyouts of other countries using private equity, and then we'll just keep buying up countries, and before you know it, the world has been taken over. The code, so this is, let me boot it up here. This is a terminal-based video game where you simulate the process of mining blocks. So I'll fire it up here. So this is a long-term project I've been working on. I have a goal of tonight I worked on the inventory item selection here, so I just made it tonight so you can actually select items in the inventory, although you can't necessarily do anything with them yet. And this is part of the, I've been working on this each night. So what some of the recent stuff I did was implement a much more sophisticated like screen rendering system. So every single frame runs in an individual thread, and they all write to the screen independently. So the inventory is the thread, this help menu is the thread, this is the thread, and then they all work independently. And so it works with resizing. So it's got some like intelligent layout stuff. You can also resize. Actually, there's a one pixel glitch there I got to work on. So that's the extent of the game. And other than that, I'm tonight I'm thinking about how to the next thing to do is to actually change this so that instead of always placing a rock block, it'll actually you can place a block that reflects whatever you currently have selected. Happy 50th day of your raising funds for world domination. Thank you. And 50 days, it flew by. Flew by incredibly fast. I take over the world in the most brutal way. If I'm being honest, that's not very nice. That's truly excellent. Congratulations and best wishes for your continued success. Thank you. Thank you for the kind words. Well, I got a bit of work done on this tonight, an incremental bit of work. I think probably even within tomorrow I would finish the inventory selection thing. And then the only thing after that is the map area updates. So hopefully that won't take too long, so I can finish this up and package it and ship it. I actually got no empathy. That's not cool. Have you heard of FTX UI? Does that have anything to do with the FTX, some cryptocurrency thing? Have to get better at coding? You just have to spend thousands and thousands of hours at it. It's a lib. My old boss always talked about wanting to play with it. It renders to terminal. Interesting. Yeah, there's end curses is a I haven't played around with end curses much. There is some stuff in end curses, like for mouse support and stuff. I might actually end up having to call out to that for some of the mouse selection stuff. Autistic stoner. I'm what you call diagnosed sociopath. That's unfortunate, I guess. That's kind of unrelated to the current discussion. I don't know what kind of response you're looking for. Yeah, there's another terminal library called Not Curses that I was looking at. There was a guy who made it a few years ago. If you search for some YouTube videos on it, it's got some pretty impressive demos. Maybe you just need to stop smoking so much, staying up late. Yeah, I mean, that could help as well. What was it called? Not curses. I think that's how you spell it. Not curses. Anyway, I'll probably call it a night. Made a little bit of progress. Raise some additional funds for world domination. Thanks to everyone who gave a super chat, and even bigger thanks to the frequent super chatters who have been doing substantial contributions to my fund up till this point. We'll be back for more tomorrow. All right, talk to you later, guys.